Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Healing for the Soul podcast, where every week I feature different guests to help you become the best version of yourself through different methods you may not have heard of or thought of. And welcome to the season 4, episode number 6, where today I have my guest, Howard Berg, who is an author, a Guinness Book of World Record holder since 1990 for being the world's fastest reader. On the show today, we are talking about being the world's fastest reader. So let's get started. I am so excited to have you here, Howard. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So who is your ideal client, and what is your specialty?
Oh, okay. Those are two interesting questions. Well, I actually have three primary markets. It's parents who want their children to get through college and not live with them till they're 40. Right now, more young people between 26 and 40 live at home than are married. There's a 50% dropout rate in 4-year college, 70% in 2-year college. Most 4-year degrees take 6 years to complete. My students do it in 2.5 to 3 on average. Almost all of them are done in 4 years. So they're saving their parents 2 to 3 years tuition. So that's a big one. Companies. Right now I'm working with $100 million a year company, turning them into $1 billion a year company by learning how to use information and make better decisions. Because everything you do in business is based on what you know. If you know more, you understand it better, and you communicate it more effectively, it's not going to hurt your bottom line. Plus, Elon Musk reads 2 books a day, Bill Gates 1, Oprah 1, Jack Ma 1. Their bank accounts look pretty good. What are they basing it on? They're learning. If I could tell you can read a new business book every day, so in a year you have 365 new skills. How would that affect your business if you could do 365 new things in your business every year, year after year after year? It's not going to hurt. I can tell you that.
No, but it'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you make money. I mean, that's it, basically. And the last one is, it's a smaller market, but it's a big one. It's seniors. People who are getting older don't want to become fruits. I mean, you just see so many people drooling. They don't know where they are or where they've been in the last 5 minutes. The dementia and Alzheimer numbers are staggering. And they found one of the best ways to keep your brain fit was reading. People in their 80s who read. I read this in 90 seconds 30 years ago on a show, and it's called the Seattle and Longitudinal Study on Aging. And it said people in their 80s, octogenarians who were readers, showed much lower onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. Basically, they died before it hit them. You know, they got so old before their brain wore out that they expired, which is, normal. How many people live to 150? So basically, reading kept their brain going. I'm 72, and I don't feel old. I work out, I lift weights, I swim half a mile every other day. I'm writing and lecturing. You could do that, or you could sit and drool. You get choices in life.
True.
I don't want to sit and drool. I have too many things I still want to do.
Very inspiring. That is for sure. So I was going to say, just for our audience, just in case they're just tuning in and they need to catch the rest of this segment later, what's the best way for them to contact you with the time zone?
Well, I'm in the Eastern Zone, so you can contact me at Howard at Berg Learning. You can see the website is berglearning.com, but you can reach me at Howard at berglearning.com if you had a question or something you needed me to help you with. And I work with individuals. I have a student now who had to learn 93 Greek and Roman goddesses as part of their lit course, and they did it in less than an hour using my system, and they remembered every name.
Oh, wow. That would be very helpful, especially if you got a test to pass.
Yeah, exactly.
So who or what inspired you to do the work that you do?
Necessity, actually. And I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn. It's very violent. There's a lot of violence. And I found the only place that the gang kids wouldn't go was the library. Gang kids would rather be dead than caught in the library. So I read a lot.
True.
I had college reading when I was 11 because that was the best thing I could do and not get killed. And when I was 17, I went to the State University of New York, Binghamton, which is a top state college in the state of New York. And I majored in biology. In my second term of my junior year, I get interested in how the brain works and learning. And I told the dean, I want to also major in psychology. He says, you only have 1 year left. You haven't taken any psych courses. I'll have to do the 4-year program in 1 year and finish bio at the same time. And I had 3 jobs. I was working 18 hours a week. So he said, you'll have to take 18 credits of science, 2 4-hour labs. Lab reports were on a slide rule. So that took 16 hours. So 40 hours of lab, 18 credits of science, and 18 hours of part-time work. He said, you're not smart enough. And that's when I realized they never taught me how to learn in school. They tell you what to learn and why to learn, what will happen when you don't. But how you hear a song on the radio once and never forget it, and you read a book like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the next day you don't know any habits. It's there got to be a way to learn things that matter. Like you learn the songs. I got up to 80 pages a minute. I did the psych program in 1 year. I took the GRE, which is the SAT for graduate school in biology, and I reviewed books. So I read 48 books in 3 nights, like genetics, cell physiology, biochemistry. I got 3 questions wrong, so I got an 800. I was in the 99th percentile in the world. So then I said, gee, is it me or the system? Because there's a difference between you're really smart or you found a way to be smart. So I taught children, 11 to 15, the same system. They were kids. They did a 30-chapter book in lifelong developmental psych, which is a sophomore course. They're 11 to 15 in a week. And then they took the AP test, which is a CLAP, and 15 out of 18 students passed the course in 1 week with full credit. So I said, this is bigger than me. It's a teachable, learnable skill, which is completely different than he's some kind of freak who can learn fast. So now it's, you can do it. Your kids can do it. And in a knowledge-based economy, you need to be doing it if you want to stay employed, because things change very quickly. Just ask Blockbuster how well their business model is working today. It was the biggest thing in DVD sales, and now they're bankrupt, or Sears or J.C. Penney. But you know who's doing Sears and J.C. Penney's business model? Jeff Bezos, the second richest man in the world.
Really?
He took a catalog and put it online.
Oh,
All they had to do was put it online. Why did anyone think of that? All he did was take a Sears catalog and call it Amazon. And he's the second richest man in the world, and they're bankrupt. They had the catalog. They had the business structure. They had the marketing. They had the products. No one said, hey, maybe we should put this online. And now they're bankrupt, and he's the second richest man in the world.
So in other words, if I want to become rich, I need to follow in your steps 100%.
You need to get it. It's all between your ears. There's only one job security in this world. Most people want to make more money, so they do 2 bad things. They work more hours or they work more jobs. You never get rich doing that. You just lose all your life to work. You want to make more money, you learn a new skill that pays better. So when you go from a $12 an hour job to a $150 an hour job, guess what? You work less hours and make more money. How do you do that? You learn a skill that people pay $150 an hour for. There's lots of them. But is it easy? No, it's not easy. You have to know how to learn. And that's what I do. I teach people how. Can I give an example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to hear.
About 15 years, I was lecturing on cruise ships, and my wife wanted to do a cruise to Hawaii, and they had one. So I said, I'd like to speak on that cruise. They said, well, they don't want speed reading. Well, that sucks. That's what I want to talk about. So what do they want? They want you to teach Photoshop, video, and photography. So I'm thinking, well, I learn 80 times faster than normal. I can do that. I teach that. I didn't teach that. But I know if you read 10 books and you understand it, you're an expert. That's why in college you take eight to 10 classes in a major. So I read 10 books on Photoshop in 3 hours. And the next day, 10 books on video. And the next day, 10 books on photography. So I go to the cruise and I'm like, please let these people be 90 years old. And the questions they have are, you mean they don't use film? How do you take a picture without film? That was my perfect audience. What do you mean they don't use film? What do they do? That was what I was hoping for. Well, the first person walks in, he's a professional photographer, 38 years. He wants me to teach him how to take pictures. The second person walks in, he's been using Photoshop for 5 years. He heard I'm a genius at it. He wants me to teach him Photoshop. That's my audience now. And I learned it the week before. So I'm in this room with them for a week, teaching them video and Photoshop and photography. At the end of the week, I said, how many years did you study to learn all that information? I learned it last week. I wanted a free cruise to Hawaii, which was true, but I did learn it. I actually did know the material. Imagine now you wanted to make Photoshop part of your business plan, and you could learn it in an hour. And the next day you could learn how to do good pictures for your website and video. All my programs are video programs, but I learned how to do it. What would it do to your business? That's really what I think people should be thinking. No one wants to read or read fast. They want to make more money and they want to have a more successful life. Well, it comes from what you know. And if you can learn it in less time and understand it, and by the way, I don't just teach books, e-readers, the Kindle, the iPad, laptop, the phone, how to speed read on a phone and study. I'm talking like chemistry and physics and remember it on a phone. I've created a new level, and also podcasts and YouTube. People aren't just learning in books anymore. In fact, more people are on electronic learning and videos and podcasts than books. So I added in a 90-minute module on how to learn on all those different mediums using the strategies that we're applying the books, because they apply to any kind of learning, actually.
So all of your learning, it would apply to like the YouTube. So I could improve my YouTube reach and my subscribers then. Same with the podcast
and learn from it, because that's how people learn. So my job is learning. It isn't books. It just turns out that a lot of learning is in books. But I'm going to say 99% of the people reading today are reading on Kindles or something similar. There's very few people with physical books compared to the ones reading the ebooks. My grandkids are in college. They didn't have one textbook in 4 years. It's all been ebooks.
Wow.
Everything is an ebook. So I said, well, I know how to teach that. So I just did a 13-hour class, a new 13-hour class last week. I created 13 new hours of content on how to do learning for school. Now, this is expensive. This is a very upscale program. It's $25,000. I'm working with families sending their kids to private schools. We're at $60,000, $70,000 a term. So if I could get their kid graduated 2-3 years earlier, they'll save $120,000 to $180,000 on tuition costs. I think $25,000 is a very small amount to pay to save $180,000.
Well,
so
yeah,
it's all relative. It's all relative. You know, if I charged you $1 million and you made $100 million, you'd say that was well worth $1 million. I made $100 million. What do I care? If I charged you $1 and you made 10 cents, that's a waste of your time. So it's really not cost. It's about value. And if you could save people 6 figures for 5 figures, it's not. It doesn't take a genius to see that's a good thing to do. You could save me $150,000, $180,000 in college costs, and my kid finishes and doesn't drop out and gets good grades. Yeah, I'll pay you for that. And I do very small groups of 10. So I can work with them one-on-one every week, because that's part of the plan. Is I want to do 30 minutes on one-on-one every week with each kid. What's going on? What are you learning? What are you trying to figure out? What's hard? What's causing you problems? Let me fix it. And then it's worth it, because you got the number one reading teacher in the world helping your kid personally succeed in college. That's worth $25,000.
Well, yeah, it is.
That's what I do. Now, my other programs aren't 25,000, but they're on payment plans if people need them. But we help them. We'll get them to read 100% faster, eliminate writer's block. I wrote my last book in 5 hours. How to remember things that people need to know in business. And we make sure they learn it. And if they don't learn it from my staff doesn't help them, I personally help because I want to know what the problem is so I can fix it and make sure the next time I make a new program, that problem is handled so it never happens again. And after 35 years, there's very, 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 very few problems. It's just sometimes it's something unique that it's one person has a specific need that no one had before. Like an actor will say, how do I learn a script? Well, how many professional actors do you see every day? Not that they don't exist, of course they do, but it's not like the general population. So
that's very true.
So I work with them on their particular application of reading. It's different reading a script and learning a Shakespearean play by memory, word for word. It's hard enough to read it. Imagine having to memorize it. So there's things you can do to accomplish that, but I don't teach it to the whole world because how many people do you know want to memorize Romeo and Juliet word for word? They want to read it maybe, but they don't want to memorize word for word. Different work, different problem.
Well, that would be very helpful though, just like for memorizing scripts. So like in the work that I do with the hypnosis, that would be very beneficial to remember a lot of scripts and then be able to place them and put them together when I need them.
It's very important. One of the things I spend a lot of time on is emotional intelligence. And you'd appreciate this, but most people don't realize the number one problem they have isn't their intellect, it's their EQ. They get frustrated too easily. They give up too quickly. They're self-deprecating instead of they're doing things that work against them. So they're like, "This is stupid. Why do I have to learn it?" When their brain hears that, it says, "Don't learn it. It's stupid." So they put all that time and effort in, and then they don't know why they didn't learn anything because they told their brain it's stupid. Don't learn it. Or why am I a loser? Well, your brain will tell you why you're a loser. How helpful is that? What if you said, how can I be more successful? And when I was training the special forces at Fort Bragg in the Royal Thai Army in Bangkok, I said, this is the best question you can ask when things aren't going well. When they have a bad day, it's really bad. You have a bad day, you go home late. They have a bad day, they go home in a body bag. So here's what you ask when you have a really bad day. What's the next best thing I can do now? Because your brain is a computer. It answers the question you asked. You ask it a question, it finds an answer. What's the next best thing I can do now? Not, why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. I'm unhappy. This sucks. People do that, and then they just dig a deeper hole. They get so emotional and so uptight and anxious, they can't think. And they just sink deeper and deeper into this quagmire of problems. And that's what I was teaching that company yesterday that's going to $1 billion. I said, you have bad days. You're a company. Everybody in business has bad days.
They do.
How you handle the bad days is what makes you successful. It's really easy when you're making millions of dollars to feel good. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of coaching to say, hey, I made $10 million today. What a great day. No, you don't need a coach to tell you that. It's what I lost $10 million today. What the hell am I going to do now? That's when you need someone to help you. And so the question should be, what's the next best thing I can do now? And then what your brain does, it looks where you are, it looks at where you want to get, and it shows you how to build that bridge from where you are to where you want to get. It may not be the bridge you wanted originally, but that's the one you have now that'll save you from the problem. And people don't do that. They commiserate. They get, this isn't fair. Why is this happening to me? I do deserve better. And they might be right. But how's that going to help them? It isn't going to help them. It's just going to make it worse. And that's the problem. They dig a deeper hole instead of extricating themselves. And what I'm showing you is something that will extricate them.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's what I see a lot. And I'm like, okay, my own self, I started having that issue of like, well, what can I do to bring, like more money in? Because I started having my own patterns come up of, I should just quit and all this. And I'm like, no, wait a minute, stop. What can I do? And then I'm like, okay, well, where's the proof? Where is the proof that says that I can't have this office? Where's the proof that I don't have the money coming in? Where's the proof? I started asking myself that. And I asked myself that enough times. And my brain's like, okay, we're going to switch from the programming of giving up to, no, we're going to keep going. We're not going to care about anything else, but we're going to keep going.
That's how it works. And you'll be a success because of that. And there'll be more challenges. That's just life. It used to
Yes.
bother me when I was younger. And things didn't go right. And then I realized that is life. Life isn't how you deal only with your successes, but how do you meet the challenges? And by teaching people how to create a state that'll
Yes.
permit them to meet the challenge in a positive. Let me give you an example. Test anxiety. I'll give you a really easy way to eliminate test anxiety. So basically, play something relaxing like Brahms' Lullaby. And what does it make you
Okay.
feel? Calm. That's why they play it for babies in a nursery. They don't play a
True.
military march. They play Brahms' Lullaby. So now you're in that very relaxed state. Grab your left thumb and go, I feel relaxed. And that becomes your conditioned stimulus. It's an anchor. So you play it over and over again. It takes 90 days to form a habit. So every day you play the music and then you go, I feel relaxed. Now you're going into a test. You start to get nervous. Grab your thumb and say to yourself, I feel relaxed. And your brain triggers the relaxed state. That's your bell, like the bell that Pavlov rang with the
yeah,
dog.
so I was thinking like Pavlov's dog, like how he did that. The dogs would just start salivating
Yeah.
just from hearing the bell. The food didn't have to be there.
Right. You're creating a conditioned stimulus and triggering the state. In the same way you can trigger focus, creativity, energy, alertness, any state that can be created can be anchored. And then you just trigger the anchor. And that's why it's showing the military people how to create the states they need to be in to succeed and then how to trigger them. Because when you're getting shot at, you don't got time to sit down and meditate.
No, you
do
don't.
deep breathing exercises. You're getting shot at. You gotta do something right now, or you're gonna get killed. Now they got very good training. They're excellently trained. But if you're frightened and scared, you won't remember what they taught you. You're gonna be in very bad shape by the end, or not in any shape by the end of the day. You have to remember what they told you to do and just do it. And that's a whole different issue than doing it. It's that state of mind, that emotion that can. In fact, there's a saying in the Gita: "Man is an animal that sometimes thinks." And what it's saying is, most people spend more time in their emotions than their intellect. If you think of during the day, how much you think that made me feel good, that made me feel bad. Why did they say that? Thank you for saying that. You spend so much of your day reacting to what people are saying to you and doing and how you feel about what's going on around you. And so a great deal of our energies is expended on emotion. And that's not what will make you successful. What will make you successful is logic, Mr. Spock. And so you have to be able to cut through the emotions. In fact, sometimes success is as bad as failure because you meet people, they become successful, and all they think about is how important they are. And they look in the mirror and they love themselves to death. And that makes them difficult to be around and it makes them unpleasant. You meet arrogant people who are, oh, I'm so smart, or look how beautiful I am. Everyone should love me, and that could be a detriment. I've met people that are stunning, but they've never had a successful relationship because they're so totally wrapped up in themselves. A relationship requires commitment and sacrifice. You have to
does.
some of your time and some of your values and some of what you want to make the other person's life work. Because it's a couple. It's not just you anymore. And if you're totally involved with yourself, giving up anything is beyond the call. And so there are a lot of very, very stunningly attractive people that are lonely because it's impossible to relate to them. They They're difficult to hang around with. That's an EQ problem. So if you learn anything in life, learn how to control your own emotions and how to interact with other people and their emotions. There's two ways you can go through life: a hammer or a nail. You're either reacting to everything happening or you're making things happen. Your will is creating your reality, and your will is creating your success. You're building your success despite everyone and everything around you. You're assembling the knowledge you need and the resources you need and the plan you need, and you're making it happen. And you're not listening to all the people saying you won't make it, it's not worth it, you're too stupid, whatever those do. You're focusing on what needs to be done, and that's how successful people succeed. There's always people ready to pull you down. People would rather pull you down to where they are than go up to where you're going, because it takes more work. But that's what success is about. It's being a leader. Leaders lead, they don't follow. It doesn't mean you don't have empathy, and it doesn't mean you don't care what's happening to other people. You just don't react to it. There's a difference between caring and reacting.
That's true. It's just like, oh my God. I just feel so much more hopeful after everything you just said. Like, I had to start taking notes. But I just feel so much more hopeful about I am on the right path. Like, I got to keep going, because you are right. There are so many people that are already trying to drag me down. And I'm like, I already had that once before. But
Everyone
I'm like, no,
does that.
I'm going to keep going.
You
and
want
I've
a
told
secret?
people, go up.
I'll give you a secret.
Yes.
Your income is going to be about the same as the top 6 people in your circle that you associate with. If you look at your 6 closest associates, your circumstance and income are going to be very close to theirs. If you want to raise yourself up, you have to choose a better group of people to associate with. There's a reason that Bill Gates doesn't go out to dinner with us and Warren Buffett. He'll go out with Bill Gates, though, won't he?
Yeah, he will.
There you go. So the studies have shown the people that are in your inner circle pretty much reflect who you are. Now, I'm not saying you can't be friends with those people. Absolutely can. But if you're trying to move yourself up, you want to associate with people who are there, that have achieved what you're seeking to achieve. So you begin to take on some of their values, and you're networking with them, and it pulls you up. Now, you still can be friends with the other people. I don't think you should ever let people go. There's no one beneath us. The only reason you and I are here today is someone's growing food right now on a farm.
True.
And someone's making clothes, and someone's making electric. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for all those people doing what they do. So I always think everyone's important. Everyone matters. Everyone. Without them, you couldn't do what you do. But if you're trying to change your circumstance, if you're trying to go to another level of income or another level of success, you need to start surrounding yourself with people who are there already, because you begin to be more like them as you're with them. And as you become more like them, you're rising up to that level. That doesn't mean you let the other people go, but you won't go to that level if you have weight around you and they're pulling you down and telling you wasting your time. This is stupid. The other people are like, yeah, that's what I did. Keep doing it. That's the right way to go. Let me tell you what worked for me. That's why we have masterminds. Masterminds are other people who are trying, like you, to go to another level, and you learn from each other.
Yes, that's why I love them.
I love them. I don't know everything. I don't even pretend to know everything. What I've learned is when I don't know something, I'd rather find someone else who does. I don't want to learn everything. I don't want to do heart surgery. I don't want to fly a plane. I'll let my pilot fly a plane. I'll let my doctor do heart surgery. I teach learning. So you surround yourself with other people who have skills that you don't have. And you focus your time on what you do well. And everybody wins that way. They have income. You have income. Everybody's doing what they do best. So But it doesn't mean you shouldn't know anything about what they do. Like take SEO. Do I know how it works? Yeah. Do I want to do it? No, it's a full-time job. I have a full-time job.
It is.
But when someone's doing it for me, I know if they're doing it right because I know how it works. And I can look at what they're
True.
doing and say, that isn't a good way to do it. You're wasting my money. You're not doing the job you're supposed to be doing. I don't want to do it, but I know what they're doing. And I can evaluate it and at least say, that isn't really a good way to do it. You need to be doing it a different way. That much I want to know.
That's very helpful. I would agree with that because I know like that's what I've been learning myself is that when I am able to hire an employee, I'm going to already know whether or not they're doing good on the SEOs, on the website design, how they're doing things. I'm already going to know that because I've already been doing it. So that's one of the ways that I actually flipped the script in my own mind of, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, you know what? This will help me when I have that employee, appreciate them, know that I know whether or not they're doing it. And then if something happens where they can't be here, then I'm like, okay, now I know at least how to do it on my own if need be.
And then there are a lot of companies that'll help you get like a virtual assistant, like in the Philippines or in India. So it's a fraction of the cost. You can get someone in the Philippines for a couple $100 a month to do an 80 or 40-hour a week job for you.
Wow.
Like doing calls or sending out letters and stuff, stuff that takes up time. It has to get done and someone has to do it. But is that the best use of your time?
True. So I do have a couple more questions though about for the reading part of it. How can a person remember what they read when you're going so fast? That's the part that boggles my mind. It's like, how can they do that?
Teach you how and also explain it. One of the best ways that I read is I convert everything into movies. When I'm reading, I'm seeing a movie. And then I'm playing the movie back. In the movie, look at all the books behind me. If you had to read the title on each book, it would take you an hour. But look at how many books you see instantly. Vision takes everything in at once. Talking is one sound bite at a time. It's digital. So you're reading digitally. You're hearing one word at a time. There's a voice in your head pronouncing the words. I'm seeing the whole thing. It's a movie. And so I play my movie back and then I can see what's in the movie and I convert it to pieces. But let me actually do that with you. I'm going to give you 10 things to remember.
Oh, okay.
Don't write them down. You're going to remember them. And I'm not going to show you how the first time and you won't be able to. Then I'll show you how. And I'm going to tell you, not only is this an exercise, it's a tool. You'll use it the rest of your life. You want to remember pole, shoes, tricycle, car, glove, gun, dice, skate, cat, and bowling pins. Is it safe to say you don't know all the list perfectly, backwards and forwards, but no effort?
That I would agree. Yes.
You will. In 3 minutes, know everything, and so will our audience effortlessly. 2 caveats. 1, you remember 10% of what you read, 90% of what you say and do. You're going to want to remember this. This is not just an exercise, it's a tool. So when I ask you to say and do, please do that. It'll lock it in. The Greeks discovered a shortcut for learning a list. If you take a list, you know it's hanging in your memory. How do you hang? What do you use hangers for? You hang things on them.
Well,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna bet you and our audience can count to 10. I'm confident I'm right. So those numbers are in there. We're going to use those numbers to learn those 10 things very quickly. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The number 1 looks like a pole, like a flag pole or a lamp pole. So when I say 1, you say pole. 1.
Pole.
2 is shoes. You wear 2 shoes. What's 2?
Shoes.
What's 1?
Pole.
3 is tricycle. 3 wheels on a tricycle. What's 3?
Tricycle.
2.
Shoes.
1.
Pole.
Getting easier. 4 is a car. How many tires are on a car? 4.
4.
So 4 is a
car.
What was 2 on your feet?
Shoes.
1.
Pole.
3.
Tricycle.
5 is a glove. How many fingers are in a glove?
5.
What's 5?
Glove.
3.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
See, you're looking for your pictures? 6 gun. 6 gun. They love them in Texas. Cowboys like 6 shooters. 6 gun. What's 6?
Well, gun.
4.
Car.
2.
Shoes.
Perfect. Lucky 7 and dice. Lucky 7. What's 7?
Dice.
What was 5? I'm giving you a clue.
Glove.
3.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
You're almost done. Rhymes work. Say 8 skate, like a roller skate.
8 skate. Yeah.
What's 8?
Skate.
6. What did they love in Texas?
6 shooters.
4.
Cars.
2.
Shoes.
2 more. 9 is a cat. How many lives does a cat have?
9.
What's 9?
So cat.
7 was
Cat.
lucky in what game?
Dice.
5 is a
Glove.
3.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
10. How many bowling pins are in a lane?
10.
10 bowling pins. What's 10?
Pins.
What was 1?
Pole.
What was 2?
Shoes.
What was 3?
Tricycle.
What was 4?
Car.
5.
Gloves.
6, Texas.
Yep, Texas 6 shooter.
7's lucky in.
Dice.
8 rhymes with.
Skate.
9 is 9 lives.
No, cat. Yes, 9
And
lives cat.
10.
10.
What game has 10?
10. Oh, pins.
Pins. Good. Here's how to use it. This
I
is
started
to
getting
speed
nervous
learn
towards the
numbers.
end.
You can speed learn numbers now. Let's make believe you're in a hotel. Your room number is 314. How many times by the time you went out, you forgot the room you were in? Here's how to remember the room. You turn numbers to pictures. Pictures are easier than numbers. 3 is a tricycle. 1 is a pole. 4 is a car. Make a movie. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. Picture the movie. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle, what number?
3.
It's a pole
1.
on a car.
4. 314.
That's your room number. Tricycle, pole, car. It's also pi. In geometry, 3.14 is to do a circle to measure the area or the circumference. So I teach this to kids in science and math and history. In business, due dates, percentages. The 0, by the way, is the 10 bowling pins. The 1 to 9 is easy. We need a 0, and that's the 10 bowling pins. So you look at the numbers, you look at the pictures, you make a movie that connects them, play the movie, back comes the number.
Oh my God,
And
that's
how
amazing.
memory works. There's a lot of different systems for different types of memory, learning a language, learning math, learning science. There isn't one thing that you do all the time for everything. But I make a toolbox. And at Berg Learning, we have all these different tools that people can use depending on how much time do you have, how much do you need to learn, how much do you know already, and how much don't you know. And based on all those things, here's the best tool you could use right now to learn as much as possible in the time you have. And that's what you do.
I'm so glad that you did that with me for both the pole, the shoes, the tricycle, the car, the glove, the 6 shooters, the dice, there's the dice, and then skate, and then 9 for the cats or the cat, and then 10 was the bowling pins.
There you go.
I have never been able to do that. And I know you didn't know this. A lot of people don't know this. I actually have had a severe front right lobe traumatic brain injury when I was 16. And I'm 35 now. I have never been able to do that in my entire life. Be able to repeat a list.
Now you know how.
Oh my God, this
And you
is
can make all kinds of lists. Just change the you. I'll do another one
this is
just quickly.
life-changing
Not
for
the whole
me.
list, but just a bit. We
Yeah.
talked about the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yes.
So do you know what all 7 habits are? Probably
I
not.
don't even remember. I read the book, but I don't remember.
Nobody does. I do. I'll show you a way to remember a few of them. Okay. So what's the first one is be proactive. Picture a bee stinging you on your head. So when you think of your head, what are you going to be?
Be proactive.
Second one is begin with the end in mind. So there's a green light on one shoulder and a stoplight on the other. Begin with the end in mind.
End in mind.
What's on your head?
A bee. Be
and
proactive.
What are you going to be? And what's the shoulders?
Remember.
Green light, red
Start
light.
with the end in mind.
Begin with the end in mind. Third one, the third one is first things first. So see a gold medal from the Olympics on your heart. First place.
Oh.
First things first. What's on your heart?
First things first. First things first.
What are you going to be?
Be proactive.
Shoulders.
Start with the end in mind. Remember, gold. So first.
First things.
First things first.
And that's how you do it. And you can peg all these different things you need to learn on different parts of your body by making pictures. So there's lots of ways to slice and dice it. What most people do is they just try to jam information in their head. And they think by magic they're going to remember it. First of all, memory by itself doesn't mean you know anything. You can memorize every equation in a calculus book and fail the test. You don't know how to do any problems. You just know what the equations are, but you don't know what to use or when to use them. That's a different kind of learning. So I'm teaching people very differently. Speed reading doesn't work, not the way it's taught in the past. I use reading to find new information I don't know and need to learn, and I teach them how to know what that is. What do you do when you don't understand it? Here's skills for making sense out of confusing information so it's not confusing anymore. Now, how do you remember it so you don't have to forget it in 5 minutes what you just learned? How do you get in the right frame of mind so when you're using it, you don't get nervous? Maybe you have to do a speech or you have to take a test and you get nervous. You can't remember anything you studied. So these are all the things I'm teaching. So I'm not just teaching reading. And then how do you learn on a podcast? How do you learn on a video? How do you learn in an ebook? These are all different types of learning, but the tools work. So I'm teaching all of that now. And now people can learn whatever they need in half the time with better retention and understanding. So they make more money because they're making better decisions, they have better information. Their kids finish school and they don't live with them till they're 40. And their parents don't turn into vegetables because they learned how to keep their brain stimulated as they got older. That's what I do. That's what Berg Learning is for.
That is absolutely amazing. So what part of the program, what should people do first? Like when the first thing, like when they come to your website, because I've been on your website.
Go to courses.
What one do you recommend? The courses?
Go to courses. If you just do one, do the reading. There's 3 versions. There's a professional version, people like you and I, with business people. There's a student version for people in junior, senior high, and college. And then there's one for young kids that are like kindergarten to like 4th or 5th grade. That one you do with your parents because they can't read yet. But it will give them a background to learn the fundamentals before they're able to read well. And then there's a writing program. Writing to me is output. Reading is input. Writing is output. Learn things, use things. Learn things, use things. So writing is how to eliminate writer's block. So I mentioned I wrote my last book in 5 hours. It went #1 on Amazon the next day. In the last week, I created 13 hours of new material for a new program in 1 week, which is not bad. I mean, it's all video. So that says something. People can do that. You work as fast as you can think, and you learn how to think faster. Memory, I gave you one thing of memory. There's many different tools. Learning a language would be different than reading a novel. Reading a novel is different than learning a science book. Each of those, you may use a different memory technique. It's the right
So you can learn
technique for
different
you.
languages too?
Oh, yeah, you can speed learn a language. Absolutely.
Oh my God, that would help me out in business, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could take and actually learn Spanish then and help
Spanish,
people.
French, yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Oh
It's
my God.
all in
This
it.
is
Learning is
cool.
that's what business is. It's learning. It's what most of us do is we learn how to do something and we charge for it. That's
Well,
business.
true.
I know how to
Yeah.
fix a sink. Do you have a broken sink? Give me some money, I'll fix your sink. I know
True.
how to wire your house. You want me to wire your house? You pay me out, or I'm a doctor. I know what makes you sick, or whatever it is you do. You learned how to do it, and now
Yeah,
you
I did.
people pay you money to do it for them because they don't know
That's
how
true.
to do it. You do. That's business. That's basically it in a nutshell. The other piece is learning how to sell. And that's the part most people don't know. If you're going to be good at business, you can't just be an electrician or a plumber. You have to be a marketer. If
Yes,
nobody
that's
knows
a
you're the
big
best
thing I've learned.
electrician, you have no customers. You have no customers, you have no business. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how gifted you are, how good your program is. No one's buying it. So you're broke. So that's a different set of skills. And what most businesses lack are business skills. And you can see I read a lot. A lot of it is
Yes.
about business because I majored in math and science, not business. I had to learn. I had to learn how do you sell. I had to learn how to communicate. Those aren't skills that I was taught. But I'll tell you I'll have a funny story. You know, when you're in college, you take courses you don't want because you have to get, like, I had to take theater as a humanities. I was a science major. What am I going to do with theater class? I'm studying biology. What am I going to do? Make a play with planaria? I mean, let's be honest. It didn't make any
True.
sense at the time. Well, 15, 20 years later, I'm doing a commercial on television, no script, all improv. It made $65 million. How did I do that? I learned theater. I knew where to look at the camera. I understood lighting. I knew how to present. I knew how to look. I knew how to talk. I had an idea of what needed to be said and how to say it because I took a theater class. Who would have thought a theater class would make $65 million for a biologist? I mean, in your wildest mind, would that have connected in your
No.
brain? Or I took gym. You took gym in college. So I took water safety instruction. One, I paid for college by teaching swimming. When I was in college, every summer I was an aquatics director. And then one year I was swimming in a pool by myself, and a guy next to me died while I was swimming. I noticed he wasn't looking right. He was
Yeah.
floating. And I saw something was wrong because I was trained. We pulled him out. He was dead. We did CPR and we got him back. If I didn't
Wow.
remember what I learned in my gym class, he'd still be dead. So who would
Yeah.
have thought a one credit gym class would pay for college and save someone's life 15 years later who you didn't even know? That's why learning is so important. You just don't know. Something you think today is inconsequential, this is dumb. I don't know. There's a time in your life when suddenly that information, it seemed like the biggest waste of time, saves your life or someone else's life, or makes you $60 million for
True.
out of nowhere, out of nothing. I mean, that's a good feeling, I gotta say. When I didn't get to keep all of it because, of course, it's a commercial. Other people are involved.
Yeah.
But it was the top selling program in its niche in history. So that says something. But I learned from a theater class what I needed to know, not from my biology class, because you don't learn a lot about public speaking and staging in a biology class. You learn how to use a microscope. That's what
Well,
you
yeah.
learn.
That's very true. So like the marketing, that would be very helpful, especially for me, because I'm like trying to figure out different ways of doing not new things necessarily, but trying to figure out what are successful people do. Because I constantly follow successful people and I'm constantly looking like what are they doing that I'm
And they
not
all
doing
wrote
that I need to
books. They
improve?
wrote books on what they do. And if
Yeah,
you read, let's say you read
that's
one
what I'm
book
going to do now.
every day you read a book by someone who's successful at marketing. What do you think will happen to your marketing skills in a year from now?
It's going to go absolutely amazing through the roof. I'll have more clients than I know what to do with.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens.
Is
And
that
it's
in your
true for
program then
everybody.
too?
Hmm?
Is that in your professional program that you
It's
have, or is
how to
that just a separate
learn.
one?
It's how to learn. The big difference is what you do to learn. So, in a professional, you're reading a spreadsheet, you're reading a marketing book, you're learning public speaking. A student's learning science or math. A grandparent's reading a novel. It's all reading, but reading isn't always the same. Reading a novel isn't
No.
preparing for a GMed and becoming a doctor. It's a whole higher level of expectation for a surgeon when they're reading a book on how to do surgery than someone reading Harry Potter. The
True.
surgeon really has to learn the book. The
That is
person reading,
very true.
but it's called reading. So I teach people how to adjust from high level, very technical, lots of information, biochemistry, genetics, law, medicine, to I'm reading the newspaper and I want to know what happened yesterday. They're both reading, but you're not going to
Yeah,
do
they
the
are.
same thing in each case. You're not going to do the same memory skill in each case. So I'm teaching people here's what works. Use what works for you, because what works for you may not be better for someone else, but it's right for you.
True.
And learning should adapt to you, not you to the learning. It's like, this is how I do it. No, this is how it could be done. How do you want to do it?
That's awesome.
Berglearning.com.
Thank you very, very much. I am 100% sure all of our listeners and those who are watching greatly appreciate all this information. Like I said, and being all this was on the fly for learning about the pole, the shoes, the tricycle, all of this stuff.
You'll never forget it. And you can use that. You can use it to learn numbers. And you will. The next time you're in a hotel, you're going to look at the number on the door, say what the pictures are, put your pictures together, and then you're going to keep saying it over and over again as a movie. And then when you get back to the hotel, you play that movie in your head, say, okay, those are the 4 pictures. That's the room. I'm in 314. I'm in 314.
That's just so amazing because, like, my mom's like, well, you're not going to be, what makes you think that this program is going to be any different, because you got your brain injury. Now I could be like, Mom, you don't understand. This is, oh my God.
It'll help
this
you.
means
I
the
had a
world to
young
me.
lady in Calgary, Alberta.
Mhm.
Not that far from you, I don't think. Alberta's really, you're in that area of the country.
True.
They're
And
north of you.
Watertown. Yeah.
And she was in a Jeep and it rolled over and it crushed half her brain. She
Oh,
literally,
wow.
she had no electrical activity on one hemisphere. She was biologically dead on one side of her brain. And she's in college. And she wrote and said, I doubled my reading and learning rate in 4 hours. She said, I can't thank you enough because I'm struggling because I had very severe brain damage. And I didn't know if I could finish my studies. And she says, now I can do it. And that really, I'll be honest with you, yeah, I like to make money. I'm in business. That means more to me because it means I'm changing lives.
Well,
And
yeah.
And that really, it touches me. I mean, money's paying bills. That's changing lives. What's more important?
Well, yeah, changing lives. That's why I'm in the profession that I am in.
Yeah.
I'm going to do anything and everything in my power now to get your program. I'm just
Thank you.
saying, because just that little bit, that means the world to me because I've never been able to do that. So
I'm glad I was able to help. And I hope some of the listeners, here's my biggest thing. I look at the kids, they're getting global warming. They may not even have a planet, let alone a job, a planet. We have exploding deficits. Shouldn't we at least make them smart enough to fix some of the problems we're giving them? And
yes,
that's really where I'm coming from. I'm a grandparent. I want to see my grandkids have a better life than I did, not a worse one.
no.
And right now, there's no guarantees. It's going in the wrong direction in this country. The middle class is disappearing.
Which is really sad.
You're either poor or you're rich. There's very little in the middle today. People work 2, 3 jobs and they can't pay their bills. So my answer is you got to learn to get smarter. So find something that makes more money so you have a life again. It's
Yes.
not rocket science. No one's going to do it for you. The only one who can save you is you. And there are people making lots and lots of money because they learned how to make money. So whatever it is you're doing, you need to learn how to make money too, so you can have a good life, and so can your kids. And how do you learn? You read about it.
Yes, you do.
Take courses on it. And then you learn how to remember what you learned and how to apply it. That's what I'm doing. And then your life changes because you did something. You're not going to get smarter listening to me. You're going to get smarter learning how to do this and doing it.
And then, yes, the application is huge because that's like what I started doing. I'm like, I don't do anything on other people that I don't do on myself.
Me
because
neither.
It's like it's pointless otherwise. I'm not going to teach you how to do emotional freedom technique if I don't do it myself.
Exactly.
Because
If
I
it
learned
didn't
better
work
than I
for
can
me,
teach
I don't
it.
want to know about it. I
Well,
only
yeah.
teach things I did that worked. And it's the same thing. If it didn't work for me, I don't teach it. I know it works because I did it. And I'm reading 80 pages a minute. I don't think you will. I'll be honest. You probably won't break the world record. You'll break your record. You'll go
Yes,
at least
my record of more than 2 pages.
You'll be doing at least 100% faster and understand it better and remember it when you need it. That I can tell you. Now, I don't know what your ceiling is, but I know that I can. We did a double-blind study on 100 random people. Everyone doubled or quadrupled with very good comprehension. Most double, but that was in 4 hours. That was without practice. That was out going home and reading a book they knew already. This is just immediately we're able to go 100% with good comprehension. My experience is anytime you use something and practice it, you usually get better. I don't know anything you've ever done in your life. If you did it over and over again, you didn't get better at it.
That I don't know. I don't think there is a way. You have to practice it.
If you practice anything, you're going to get better than if you don't. So that's
true.
what I do. And if you need help, we'll help you. We'll make sure you learn it. And then you'll have a better life. You'll have the tools to be successful and figure out what everyone else who's doing well is doing. Because that's the only way you're going to succeed today. No one's going to do it for you. Everything is coming from your brain and what you know. And you say, I'm not smart enough. You're holding yourself back. You've got a brain. It's the most powerful computer on the planet. You're just not programming it right. And if you reprogram it to do what it's designed to do, you can do amazing things too.
Thank you so much. I wish everybody would understand that last part of the message.
So true.
Because that's what I keep telling everybody.
Back.
You have to fix your mindset. That's what I'm like. That's why I love the work that I do, because it's like I have changed so rapid, so fast that it's been a gift. It's like the best gift ever was just having someone help me get to where it is that I need to go. And that's like, okay, now I got to keep going because I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. This has been an absolute amazing conversation.
You'll get there because you're in motion. And
yes.
A lot of the people think this is the path to success. No, it's a roller coaster. There's peaks and troughs. Even the most successful people have troughs. It's not it's not straight up to the top. It's ups and downs. It's how you handle those downs and handle those ups that take you to the top. And once you realize that, you're in a position to do amazing things, and just accept that there's going to be days where you have challenges that you didn't anticipate, but you're ready to handle because you've learned how to think. And there's going to be days when things are going so great that there's no limit to what you can accomplish. And as you get better, there's more of those days than the other ones.
That's what I've been finding out. It's less down and more up. Just because I've learned how to handle the down, and I've learned how to handle the people that don't like me. And I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to like me. I'm not for everybody.
And you know what? There's people that I don't like, but I work with them because I respect their skill set and they're helpful and they're good for my business. They don't have to be my best friends. I prefer if they were, but not just what being you makes you bad for someone else. Like General Patton probably was a tough father and a hard husband, but he's a great general. He was a great general. Sometimes things that make us really good at one thing make us not so good at something else. That's okay. That's just being human.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Howard, for being on the Healing for the Soul podcast. I really, really appreciate it. And for all of our listeners and all of our viewers, I highly recommend you go to theberglearning.com. I'm just saying, follow Howard. He's on LinkedIn. I'm already stalking his page, and I'm already on his Clubhouse stalking him there too. So follow him on those two channels that I know of. Do you have any other channels for us to follow you on?
I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. What's that called? Instagram.
What's your Facebook one?
Twitter. Yeah, today, if you're in business, you have to be doing social media. That's just the way it is. That's the way businesses work.
That is true. That one's been the hardest for me, but I'm like, nope, we're going to still do it. We're going to power through.
Got to power through it. You don't make the rules, but you learn how the rules work and you make them work for you. Don't say this is too hard. This is too confusing. That's what's going to keep you from reaching your full potential. You say, look, that's how rich people got rich. I want to be one of them. I'm going to do what they're doing. And I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to learn it. And now I'm going to find people who can help me. And then it becomes easier over time.
It's absolutely amazing. Thank you again so much, Howard. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.